as you get older,
Yep.
you have to look at things in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I'm keeping my fucking hands up.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Step out. Can I move my phone?
Might unlock all kind of strip clubs in Omaha. We don't know. This is musty. This is disgusting at the highest level.
Floyd Mayweather has just thrown another sharp jab at Terence Crawford after his recent traffic incident, and the words cut deep. While speaking about Crawford's wild celebration that spiraled out of control, Mayweather mocked the way the Omaha native carried himself after defeating Canelo Alvarez. If beating Canelo makes Crawford act like he owns boxing, then imagine what would happen if he ever won against greater fighters like Manny, Mayweather remarked. He insisted that every fighter must recognize his limits. And Crawford's victory, one Mayweather himself once conquered with ease, had him celebrating far too loudly, because in Floyd's eyes, he still isn't anywhere near the same level.
Protect yourself. Another point, Floyd Mayweather, he don't carry no guns. Floyd don't carry guns.
That criticism didn't stop inside the ring. Mayweather went further, dragging Crawford's troubles outside of boxing, pointing straight at his recent clash with Omaha police. Floyd called it both unfortunate and embarrassing, adding that rather than making headlines for all the wrong reasons, Crawford should have been at home, surrounded by family, cherishing his victory and the history he had just carved for himself.
A lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in the fight between Terence and Floyd, and I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
yes,
fight.
Yes, sir. I love you, Terence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah, he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
the
sense
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about
The headlines Floyd pointed to began unfolding in the early hours of the morning in downtown Omaha. Just earlier, the city had thrown a massive parade to celebrate Crawford's triumph over Canelo, with Crawford himself standing proudly at the center of it all. But as the night wore on, the mood flipped completely. According to the Omaha Police Department, just before 1:30 a.m., officers spotted a car weaving recklessly near North 12th Street and Capitol Avenue. They pulled it over on Cass Street, only to find 4 people inside, including Crawford. Among them was his chief of security, Qasim Shabazz.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Step out. Can I move my phone?
Bug Crawford being harassed by cops and pulled over by the cops right after the parade. This is diabolical.
Police later released a statement laying out their side of the story. They explained that as officers spoke with the driver, one of them noticed a loaded gun sitting on the floorboard by the driver's seat. Out of caution, all 4 passengers were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. Once identifications were checked, the driver was confirmed to be Terence Crawford, who was then cited for reckless driving. The report also clarified the issue of firearms found inside the car. It stated that one passenger, identified as a member of Crawford's security team, was carrying a legal weapon. The department stressed that every occupant inside that car had the proper permits to carry.
Once they had stopped, Crawford was identified as the driver. According to police, officers observed a firearm on the floorboard on the driver's side. All 4 people, including members of Crawford's security team, were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. I spoke with the head of Crawford's security this afternoon, who says he's still shaken up.
Fans who had cheered him at the parade only hours earlier were now staring at the same champion in handcuffs on Cass Street. For many, the night felt like a bitter theft of what should have been a weekend of pure pride for Omaha. Some turned their anger on Crawford himself, calling him out for reckless driving and careless decisions. Local station KV even quoted an officer at the scene, who revealed that the firearm first came into view when Crawford leaned down to grab his documents, his license and registration.
Bro, I got a crazy clip to show you guys right now. But isn't that a policeman holding a gun to the 3-time undisputed world champ Terence Bud Crawford's head? What did he do that was so bad that you had to pull him over?
The officer explained that as Crawford leaned forward, the firearm became visible near his feet. That single glimpse was enough to trigger the decision to order every passenger out at gunpoint. According to that same account, All four were handcuffed until the scene was brought under control. During the tense moments of the stop, Crawford could be heard making it clear he wasn't reaching for the weapon. With his hands raised, he insisted he was fully cooperating.
That was a nightmare. You know, future husband, just had a brand new child and, you know, children and, you know, and stuff like that. And to know that I almost lost my life last night because we had a police officer that don't know how to articulate a traffic stop.
That point was later echoed by his security chief, Qasim Shabazz, who shared a very different version of events. He flat out rejected the officer's account. According to Shabazz, Crawford never reached for any documents because he didn't even have them with him. Crawford had already told the officer that his license and registration were left at home, so there was no reason for him to move at all. Shabazz added that both he and Crawford disclosed right at the start of the stop that they were carrying firearms, exactly as Nebraska law requires. Yet even with that honesty, the encounter spiraled. Bud told the cop, "I have a firearm too." But the officer on his side snapped, screaming, "Hands up, get out of the car, don't reach." Shabazz swore there was never even a gun in sight. "We thought we were going to die, man," he recounted.
I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Can I move my...
You telling me the police at Omaha don't know who Terence Crawford is? Putting a gun in his face? Ridiculous.
Shabazz also pushed back against the claim of reckless driving. He said Crawford directly challenged the officer, asking if radar had even been used. According to Shabazz, the officer admitted it hadn't. "Well, how do you know I was speeding if you don't have radar?" Crawford pressed. Shabazz claimed he recorded the entire exchange, capturing the officer on camera saying, "I cannot. I admit that I do not have radar."
After receiving the keys to the city? Huh? Hey, yo, that cop gotta be some hater, bro. Hey, yo, that's like the NYPD holding Derek Jeter on gunpoint and arresting him after the Yankee championship parade in New York City, bro. It doesn't make sense. It wouldn't even happen, bro. It wouldn't even happen. So this cop gotta be some hater, bro.
That clash between the official report and Shabazz's version only poured more fuel on the fire. Crawford's camp pointed to his account as proof the stop was mishandled, while critics countered that officers don't need radar to recognize reckless driving. Shabazz described the moments inside the car as tense, even terrifying. Every passenger, himself included, was handcuffed as the situation escalated in a way he felt was needless, especially since they had already disclosed their firearms and tried to comply. At Crawford's request, a police supervisor and lieutenant were eventually called to the scene, and their presence helped guide the rest of the encounter until the citation was finally issued.
I think we should just let the man enjoy his great moment. He's a great fighter. And I see a lot of immature stuff, and I don't like the way things is going with.
By then, however, the video circulating online had already given us the story. Fans debate whether police overreacted or whether Crawford had placed himself in a...
By then, though, the video racing across the internet had already shaped the narrative. Fans clashed online, some insisting police had overreacted, others arguing Crawford had brought the trouble on himself. For many, the incident left a dark mark on what should have been a day of triumph for Omaha. Some even echoed Mayweather's sting, claiming a fighter of Crawford's stature should never be at the center of chaos like this. The Omaha Police Department quickly felt the heat. Chief Todd Schmaderer announced an internal affairs review into the officer's conduct, while Mayor John Ewing publicly backed the move, confirming both he and the chief were closely tracking the viral footage. The investigation will now decide whether protocol was properly followed when the gun was spotted, and when the order was given to drag everyone out at gunpoint.
But they come up with guns drawn.
Wow, he had his gun drawn. Here's what TMZ wrote. Terence Crawford ordered out of the car by a cop holding a gun on a video. It says Terence Crawford was forced out of a car at gunpoint by police officers with tense exchange caught on video, and it's leading to an internal investigation.
For now, the only official charge Crawford faces is reckless driving. Police have repeatedly confirmed that every firearm in the vehicle was legal, and no further charges would follow. Still, the sharp contrast between Omaha's jubilant daytime parade and the tense late-night traffic stop became the weekend's lasting image. The same residents who lined the streets to honor their champion now woke up to headlines of him being pulled out of his car at gunpoint. On social media, disbelief ran wild. Some fans called it the craziest 24 hours ever for a hometown hero, while others accused police of targeting Crawford. Critics, meanwhile, argued he should never have been on the road that late in the first place.
Investigation, but the damage is already done, my guy. The damage is already done. I'll be surprised if Terence Bud Crawford comes back to the city just disrespectful to the face of boxing. Not saying that the man's above the law, but Lord child, what was y'all doing? Gunpoint?
Mayweather has only stirred more controversy by casting the stop as proof of what sets their careers apart. To Floyd, legacy isn't measured only in victories. It's also defined by the choices a fighter makes when the spotlight burns brightest. And in his eyes, Crawford tarnished his own celebration by landing in handcuffs on the very night Omaha crowned him a hero.
Mayweather, I thought, took on some pretty tough 154-pounders and it was in a young Canelo and a very tough Cotto who was punching very hard from 40 to 54. You know, remember Cotto had knocked out Delvin Rodriguez very hard from 40 to 54. You know, remember Cotto had knocked out Delvin Rodriguez at 54. He'd still done some damage at 54, and I thought
won a title at 60.
Yeah, and I thought he knocked out Martinez at 60, and I thought he gave Mayweather a pretty good fight at 54.
Crawford's camp has stayed quiet, offering nothing more than a brief statement. His spokeswoman confirmed on Sunday night that he had no comment. Since then, neither he nor his team has addressed the citation, the police version of events, or Shabazz's claims. For now, the internal affairs investigation rolls on, and the citation still stands. Yet even as tension between Floyd and Crawford keeps rising, the rest of the boxing world hasn't held back. With names this massive, it's no surprise that legends, analysts, and even promoters are all jumping in with their own takes.
I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
Oscar De La Hoya, never one to stay out of a Mayweather conversation, made it clear where he stands. He basically laughed at the idea that Crawford's win over Canelo puts him
Oscar De La Hoya, never one to stay quiet when Mayweather's name comes up, made his stance crystal clear. He practically laughed at the idea that Crawford's win over Canelo could ever put him in Floyd's league. To Oscar, the comparison itself is ridiculous. He reminded everyone that Mayweather faced Canelo when the Mexican star was younger, fresher, and considered a far greater threat. Yet Floyd made him look like a novice. Crawford, on the other hand, had to grind through 12 full rounds to get the job done. That's why Oscar insists the gap isn't even close. In his eyes, Mayweather was already royalty long before Canelo ever stepped into the ring with him.
I knew that. But Saudi kept saying, hold him, keep boxing, keep boxing.
Does anybody know where Bo is?
Max Kellerman brought a completely different energy to the debate. True to form, he wasn't about to let the conversation get boiled down to a single opponent. Instead, he emphasized that Mayweather's greatness was carved out of pure defensive genius, the kind of brilliance that left fighters frustrated before the first round even had a chance to unfold.
That's using what he got to shield him. He got a lot of security guards around him, and he's in the limelight and stuff like that, but in certain situations, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Do you like him as a fighter, though?
Yeah, he's a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
But like his core personality and his ways.
Crawford's greatness, on the other hand, comes from his ability to switch styles mid-fight, adapting to anything and dismantling opponents in ways rarely seen before. Kellerman's perspective leaned less toward choosing sides and more toward honoring both paths of brilliance. He framed it as two different peaks of boxing greatness, arriving one after the other.
Floyd Money Mayweather. Why is that the option? Well, for a few reasons. One, because Floyd isn't like anybody being called the best while he's still living. So that's number one. Number two, they have been compared to each other since the fight, because Canelo Alvarez says, well, I think he's better than Floyd. So now they're starting to get.
Then there's Bernard Hopkins, who didn't hold back. He gave Crawford his due, saying he's as sharp as anyone in the game right now, but he also reminded everyone of something Crawford hasn't yet encountered: Mayweather's psychological edge. Hopkins explained that fighting Floyd isn't just about trading punches. It's about facing someone who makes you question yourself every single round. He even suggested that part of Crawford's excitement might stem from never having faced a fighter capable of completely neutralizing his skills. To Hopkins, that's what separates the good, the great, and the truly legendary.
The torch to the right guy. He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So if you're gonna have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
Analysts also point to the difference in marketability, Floyd's charisma, ability to play both hero and villain, and his
Mike Tyson, however, sees it from a completely different angle. Already preparing to step into the ring with Floyd, he said, "This is exactly the kind of excitement boxing needs. Fans buzzing, media speculating, the sport feeling larger than life for a moment." Tyson even hinted that with Mayweather still taking exhibitions, anything is possible. If Floyd's already in the gym, he said, why not think about Crawford?
But, why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
Jeff Mayweather, on the other hand, defended Floyd by stressing the context often overlooked in these comparisons. By the time Floyd fought Canelo, he was already past his physical peak,
For Tyson, it wasn't about records or risk. It was about giving fans a moment that makes everyone pause and take notice. And that's the crux of it. This conversation has grown far beyond Crawford and Mayweather trading barbs. It has taken on a life of its own. Promoters are weighing in, networks are watching closely, and fans are dividing into camps, all imagining the possibility of these two titans finally stepping into the ring together.
I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but,
Eddie Hearn, meanwhile, has been questioning the hype, pointing out that Crawford's resume still doesn't stack up to Floyd's, and cautioning fans against crowning him too soon. But even as Hearn plays the skeptic, there's a louder murmur running through the sport. Crawford is finally in a position to choose his opponents, free from promotional constraints, while Mayweather, as always, moves on his own terms. It's the kind of setup that makes wild possibilities feel real. Even a clash between Floyd and Crawford is suddenly on the table.
Fights, later down the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork.
And things could get even more intriguing from here. Mike Tyson's upcoming exhibition with Mayweather has already drawn huge attention, but whispers about Tyson's health keep emerging. If anything were to disrupt that matchup, the sports rumor mill is ready with a backup storyline. Why not slot Crawford in as the replacement?
You've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Stepping in for Tyson would instantly turn the event from a spectacle into a full-blown super fight. And it's not as far-fetched as it seems. Yet another bout might already be on the horizon. Turki Alalwan recently grabbed attention by hinting at a blockbuster showdown between Terence Crawford and David Benvidez. The idea quickly spread among boxing fans, especially with Turki suggesting the fight could headline a Riyadh season card. With Crawford still riding high off his victory over Canelo Alvarez, the matchup feels like another chance to put two of the sport's biggest names under the Saudi spotlight.
Ever entertain a fight with David Benvidez?
You gotta understand.
I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't, you know?
My thing is, Benvidez is a big dude. Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother. His brother was big when I fought him. The only reason why I entertain Canelo is because he's not a big dude. He might be thick, but he's not a big dude.
But Crawford's trainer, Bomac, wasted no time closing that door. When asked about the proposed matchup, his answer was simple and firm. No, we ain't doing that fight. He didn't dive into specifics, but made it clear that facing Benvidez isn't on Crawford's current agenda. From Bomac's perspective, Crawford's career is about staying locked on the right opportunities, not chasing every name tossed into the mix.
I'll say this. The crazy part is that he can do better. Bud can do better.
On the other side, Benvidez himself threw cold water on the idea, noting that he's already moved up to light heavyweight at 175 pounds. For him, dropping back down just to face Crawford doesn't add up. Between Bomac's firm rejection and Benvidez's stance, the potential showdown quickly lost momentum, leaving Crawford to explore other super middleweight options instead. What do you think will be the first fight we actually see? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.